Hi, welcome to my 8th house synastry series. This is Lilith in the 8th house synastry. When it comes to Lilith, I decided that I was going to do it in two parts because when we think of Lilith, Lilith only acts when she needs to or when you have learned to empower her or to use your intentions with anger or some type of strong emotion. And Lilith also can be very subtle. So it's the same when we place Lilith in a synastry, in this case, 8th house synastry. Let's begin with Lilith. When Lilith meets 8th houser, it won't be like the other planets like Moon and Mars, but just like the 8th house synastry theme, these two people always meet when there is a transformation. So this will be happening, the transformation, but it won't be as obvious. Both people don't really look at each other and go, oh, this looks like you got Lilith in my 8th. Like, it's very hard to distinguish because it's very subtle and sly, almost like a snake, if you think about it. Straight away, Lilith is a bit hidden. And when I say hidden, could be that Lilith lived somewhere else, or even if Lilith is in the same country as you, you don't really know of them, but you heard rumors of them, and you more likely as the 8th houser have seen them do something, or in the rumors, because it's 8th house synastry, is always in a intimate way that you're going to hear about, maybe them being players and being in the streets, or them being a bit sneaky, or even just the 8th house nature of secrets. The person can come across as if they're quiet and they or have only a selected few amount of friends. You don't really see them around in the town, even though they live in the town. Therefore, 8th house naturally has this curiosity, but it doesn't feel anything internally until they actually meet one day. Now, usually Lilith is the one that approaches 8th house if they're in the same environment. Obviously here, like I said, Lilith is very subtle. It won't be as obvious. So you have to look at your other synastry in your chart. If you have a lot of like 3rd house placements or 11th house, more likely than Lilith would be the one to approach you. But if they don't, more likely it would be 8th house, right? This one is not as clear as the other planets. They need the other synastry to say who does more what, who is the one that approaches. But certain things are very easy to distinguish, which I've known and seen, which is that I want to separate this in two. I'm going to make it the subtle way, then I'm going to take it to the extreme way. So the subtle way of Lilith in the 8th house synastry, 8th houser will hear the rumors about Lilith and have this crazy intensity and ambition to just want to evade and probe on the Lilith's life. Like, it takes a few seconds until they start noticing that they're stalking Lilith. They just feel like Lilith will be able to awaken some type of deep desire, some type of power in them. They also see Lilith as an asset to money and things, and even like just to feel powerful. So they will literally chase the Lilith, but they will do it also in a subtle way. And usually how 8th houser does is by trying to be appealing to them in an intimate way. Make sure that Lilith will fall for it. If it feels that Lilith won't fall for it, it might even lie. 8th houser here because it's scared that it will get caught and scared that they might actually be messing with fire. So 8th houser will be like, oh, let's not do too much. Let's go slowly. But deep inside, like, 8th houser wants more. And Lilith is able to pick this. But like I said, Lilith is the first of everything. Lilith is very sure in who they are. Lilith is not worried about what 8th houser is going to do because it wants to also tame 8th houser. It's just that it's not their first priority, but they don't mind taming 8th house because what's better than having someone who's your dark shadow and literally wants to show you your dark shadow when it's something that you love being at all times. It's very fulfilling and intense when these two meet because they're true. This is the true raw passion. However, the same way that is good is the same way that is bad, because these two can push each other to extremes. Probably not even see nothing wrong with it because they are used to the extremes. However, who's more in control here is Lilith. Lilith will be able to always stay in control here. Lilith behind the scenes will be dark, like really angry when the 8th houser keeps probing and doing all this stuff, and will not want to be like ruled by 8th houser, and will let 8th houser know, I rule you. You belong to me. Lilith will secretly admire how 8th houser is so intelligent with their darkness. It will love knowing that 8th houser can see them and even probably help them be even more of their raw true self that society does not accept. There's a rebellious nature here when these two are together, so they like that. But slowly in time, if there's no other synastry here to balance the waters, they will start to do what? Eat each other alive. Literally eat each other alive. Then when you look into investments, this goes for investments, this goes from their day to day. Lilith will start to live its own life, but if 8th houser is just being extreme and Lilith is not comfortable anymore, Lilith will literally sit here and act as if they didn't create a monster or like this intensive person out of 8th houser. 8th houser will consistently go through transformations because Lilith keeps evoking that by their own nature, by just being themselves. And then next thing you know, 8th houser knows that it's wrong, and the person that they've become, usually 8th houser is like a good person turned bad because of this, or has their V card and then gets addicted to the act, because Lilith, that's what Lilith is. It's also like a part of you that obsesses over things too, and falling to the 8th house, which is obsessions too. So then 8th houser can hate Lilith for this, but at the same time, now they can't leave, and they will always want to be so intense with the Lilith person, and Lilith person can be scared because it's like, oh no, you're becoming too much of myself. The example of this is Snow White's mother, when she looks in the mirror and she sees her older self and she sees that she's decaying, she's getting older, and she screams, and is the same like rage that Lilith feels here looking at the 8th house, and it can proceed to treat the 8th houser worse and punishing. But guess what? 8th houser likes the punishment. It rather deal with the punishment and feel alive than losing Lilith. This is part 2 of Lilith in the 8th house synastry. And now we're going to talk about Lilith. Same way, we'll have like rumors or some type of secrecy about them that everyone feels, but 8th houser is more inclined to this. Lilith will accept 8th houser because he likes the visuals. He likes how 8th houser looks like. He likes how 8th houser shows and demonstrates themselves. Would love to have 8th house as arm candy, just like Saturn or Venus here. But the difference is that it's arm candy, but doesn't want anyone to even lust over 8th house. This is them type of boyfriends that you see, they let you still wear really like extreme clothes in their eyes, like when they're arguing with you, like Lilith when is arguing with 8th house will say, why are you wearing this? And it might be just a bit of skin. They'll let it wear, or they'll make comments like, dress like that as long as you are with me. And then they will literally always be with 8th houser next to them so that no one can talk to them. Now, let's say 8th houser has goals and dreams, right? Guess what? As soon as they come in contact with Lilith, 8th houser doesn't want to do any of that. It wants to live through Lilith. It just loses all strength. And if 8th houser comes from an environment, which I notice, 8th houser usually tends to come from an environment where even if they have everything, they still emotionally feel alone. And Lilith might have the same similar story, but Lilith liked to get away. Like Lilith made sure to get away and get their own money. They get their own things and isolate from their own family traumas. And that's what it wants the 8th houser to understand. We both might be broken, but you need to become a beast. I don't want you to sit here and cry. I'm not here for that. And 8th houser will want to do that because it's like, but you're just like me, right? And 8th houser then will sit here, crave, and I mean, be addictive, like their body. And I'm talking about that in the most literal sense. 8th house's body could crave, call out, similar to 12th house synastry, but it would like not even have dream. The body will literally shut down, not having Lilith where they want Lilith to be. And Lilith can get really annoyed to the point they don't even recognize themselves with the 8th houser. So Lilith will be probably like running away, going to work, traveling, all this stuff. And then only to realize like, oh my God, my shadow self, I feel lost. I need to go back to my shadow self, right? And they will contact 8th house, and 8th house now doesn't want to pick up. The ego battles, right? Because Lilith is stubborn. And Lilith, guess what? Awaken that in the 8th house. So the 8th house is going to be angry, not speak, but do what? Emotional guilt trip. And will be like, if you don't do this, I'm going or I'm leaving. And Lilith will say, well, then go. And will be extremely mean because Lilith's not ready to deal with their traumas, because guess what? They are their trauma. So they're not trying to hear now someone coming again. It's like, it just feels like another family member harassing them or annoying them. They don't want to deal with that. So then they say to 8th houser, you knew my rules. And 8th houser is like, what rules? Oh, you know. Which a lot of the times Lilith did not establish. It was just simply acting on it and hope and just expecting 8th houser to follow. It promised the world to the 8th houser things like, oh, you can live with me. You can have this money. You can have this assets. But as long as you're sitting here pretty, don't stress me. It's usually, if they're going to heal together, is by Lilith understanding, I need to love my shadow self. I just got to. I have to let go of the rage. So, and the rage needs to turn into burning love. Can't just turn into butterfly love. No, it needs to turn into burning love. And that's when you see here that 8th house can literally heal Lilith. Now, I'm going to censor this better because of TikTok. Usually here, Lilith could have been really damaged at one point in their life when they were younger. And usually 8th houser can be damaged the same way, but like more in the emotional level, as Lilith had probably been physically touched, if you get what I'm saying. If it's a Lilith guy or like masculine energy, more likely someone stole from them and they were literally like homeless, like nothing. And this is not like Lilith in the 4th house synastry, but it's more like when I say homeless, it's like I'm talking about when Lilith thinks of their homeless, they're thinking about how they struggle about getting food, the arguments between family members, not having certain access, family lying about certain contracts. And, Lilith's going to think of the anger that homelessness caused rather than actually the roof over their head. So when they have all of these things and all these things made, they don't want 8th houser to come and leech. But if 8th houser is going to come and stay, you can stay, but you need to follow my rules. And usually that works. Even though to the society, we will always see this as wrong. Some people will be admired because he looks so powerful, right? And I mean, it's Lilith and it's Lilith in the 8th house. It's going to look so powerful, right? It might even push people to do the same that already have some like damaged cycles. And, it might work. But this is a synastry that you could eat each other alive. This is the synastry that people need to go and check on these people because they might elope. These two might elope and actually be driving each other crazy. So tread lightly too. Similar to Neptune, like Neptune in the 8th house synastry can heal and they can do huge self-sacrifices for each other, and it can be beautiful, but it's a journey. It's a huge journey. And it's the same here with Lilith. There's this healing deep aspect, like the house is burning and they're right in the middle of it, but they're never felt so alive.